armored vehicles, vehicle weapons, and military equipment, and the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan has said. The fundamentalist Taliban group seized the northern city of Sheberghan on Saturday. Sheberghan is the capital of Jowzjan province and is home to Uzbek warlord Abdul Rashid Dostum. The fundamentalist South Africa has recorded 12,371 new cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. The National Institute of Communicable Diseases has said on Saturday. This brings the total number of laboratory-confirmed cases to 2,523,488. This increase of 8,791 new COVID-19 cases represents a 21.6% positivity rate. A further 271 COVID-19 related deaths have been reported, bringing total fatalities to 74,623 to date. The cumulative number of recoveries is 2,290,321, and an increase of 371 hospital admissions has been reported in the past 24 hours. 8,588,444 people have been vaccinated so far. And in your sports, Jacques Nienaber's Springboks side beat the British and Irish Lions 1916 in a nail-biting series finale that needed a last-minute Morris Steyn to clinch it on Saturday evening in Cape Town in a tightly contested fixture which saw very little able to separate the Springboks and the British and Irish Lions side. It would prove a moment of deja vu for many a supporter who would have witnessed Steyn's 2009 series-winning penalty as he came on to do a similar job 12 years later. And in the Olympics, Eliud Kipchoge underlined his status as a leading marathon runner in the globe by successfully defending his Olympic title with victory at the Tokyo Games on Sunday. The 36-year-old Kenyan's winning time of 2 hours, 8 minutes and 38 seconds. But the conditions were tough as temperatures were up to about 29 degrees Celsius, while the humidity levels were well over 70% at the Sapporo Odori Park, about 830 kilometers away from Tokyo, where organizers were hoping to avoid the heat of the capital city. There was little to cheer for South Africans, though, with Elroy Gerrand, the only local athlete to cross the finish line in the fourth position in a time of 2 hours, 16 minutes and 43 seconds. And in your weather, Pretoria will be sunny and hot with temperature highs of 26 degrees. Johannesburg, sunny and cool with temperature highs of 21 degrees. Cape Town will be cloudy and cool with temperature highs of 17 degrees with scattered thunder showers. And Durban, sunny and hot with temperature highs of 26 degrees. Bloemfontein will be sunny and warm with temperature highs of 25 degrees. Polokwane, sunny and warm with temperature highs of 25 degrees. Upington, sunny and hot with temperature highs of 29 degrees, and Port Elizabeth will be sunny and warm with temperature highs of 25 degrees. East London, sunny and warm and hot actually with temperature highs of 29 degrees. For Vuka Online Radio News, I am Monges Makalima.
Welcome to another episode of PK Unshackled. I am your host, Makawe Wagokatide, and today we have a magical show. The reason I say magical is because there's very few people that grab your attention, that become a part of the national dialogue, that represent Africanism more than my guest. And I can guarantee you it's going to be fireworks. Today, so I have a gentleman here. Now, I look at this gentleman, I feel inspired. A lot of people call him many names. They call him Sangoma. They call him, controversial. Yeah, well, I'm controversial. Everyone's controversial. I guess when you speak out or speak up against certain social ills, historical damage that the church and other institutions have done to people, they label you names. So please join me as I welcome my guest, Ubaba Joshua Maponga III. Sir.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on your platform, and greetings to you and your viewers around the world. And as we are building bridges for the recovering addicts of the Christian community.
I love it, love it, love it, love it. So you are Joshua Maponga III. So there was a first, a second, and you're the third. Am I correct in saying your son will be the fourth?
It goes without say. It goes without say. Traditionally speaking, within the royal houses, you will always want to name your predecessors to allow continuity, and my grandfather did that within our tribe. So many people have known me only from the pastoral side, but my cultural side and my personal family history was not very clear to everybody. So they just celebrated a bishop, but they always knew I was Maponga the third. But whether it was for fun or it was in reality, they got shocked all of a sudden 2 years ago when I reminded them that, hey, I'm not just Joshua Maponga, the pastor, The three you've been seeing all along means this. And to many people who had become so casual, it was like a cold wind on their faces, all of a sudden to begin to redefine you and readdress you in ways that they want to address you. And hence, when I throw away the title of bishop, people felt like, hey, why are you doing that? Many people have worked hard to get these titles, and you wake up one morning and you throw away such a big title. But I said, I have a bigger title than the bishop title. It's something that you gave me because I was doing what I was doing. But now that I'm growing into something else, I feel like that title becomes a bit more limiting to the vision and dream of what my life is made out of. And for that reason, I felt maybe for the sake of the younger viewers, I would put that title on ice and move over into what I need to accomplish.
I'm anticipating fireworks on this platform today. So let's take a quick break because we have bills to pay. And after the break, we get onto the serious stuff, the serious stuff that we're here for. See you in the break.
Every time he sees me, his eyes light up. I can almost hear his heart beat faster. He looks at me the same way he did when we first met. For him, it's love at first sight every day. For me, it's heartbreaking.
Loving someone who's living with dementia is not easy. For support, advice, or to make a donation, visit dementiasa.org.
Dave, baby, you know my best friend Jennifer? She's kind of hot, huh?
Dave, stop. It's a trap. You need an exit strategy. Consider all the angles. Admitting she's hot will lead to your demise. However, saying no means insulting best friend Jennifer. It also means you think your darling angel is a bad judge of character. Think, Dave. What would Elliot do?
Well, I've never really noticed, but remind me to look next time.
Smooth move, Dave. Smooth move. For well-considered smooth moves, Elliot is amazing.
Stay woke with Vuga Online Radio.
Welcome back to PK Unshackled. I'm spending my morning with Ubaba Joshua Maponga III. Now, please tell us, there's a lot of misconceptions about you. People just don't know who you are. Every day there is a new dialogue that you start. And, if I miss, 3 days without looking at your Facebook posts, I feel as if I don't know you anymore. Please tell me and the viewers and the listeners out there, who is Joshua Maponga III?
Maponga Joshua is a being. Is a participle of a present continuous lifestyle. I cannot say I am Joshua Maponga as a present perfect tense of a completed work. I would rather say I am being Maponga Joshua, meaning to say I am progressively growing every day. The day I die, then you can put a full stop and you can look back and say, this is what he was all about. But I think our environment has become so intoxicated with titles. I'm a nurse, I'm a policeman, I'm an accountant, I'm a pastor, as if you literally agreeing to drop yourself in that box and you cannot be anything else outside of what you are saying. As you see on many of my pages, many people say, stay on your lane. Don't say anything about medicine. Don't comment about politics. It's not your turf. You are a pastor, so you just stay there. Because our educational institution is almost stereotyped us into whatever you studied for, that's all you know, and there's nothing more outside of that. So the perception of colonial education says you should be this or that. I believe you can be this and that. So every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I look into an empty ceiling and I download a new idea and I talk about it for the day. Tomorrow morning, I wake up, I look up again, I get a new idea, I download it again. So these are the issues. These are the conversations in the corridors of my own mind, the issues that I'm grappling with. The only problem is that as I'm thinking, I am sharing those things with you, which I know offends many people. With what you are thinking, we don't want to know. We just want to know what you were taught and what you've come to accept as truth, which I find a bit offensive to an open-minded society where thinking must be progressive.
But do you think that current society allows the individual to think for themselves, or it's all about social conditioning? Because, most of the stuff that you say on your social platforms, I understand, but the majority of people don't comprehend what you're saying, don't understand what you're saying. Automatically, before they even understand the notion of polygamy, when you speak of polygamy, they already say, oh, no, hey, don't. The law says this, the Bible says this, but they don't understand what you're saying. Would you say that you're controversial? Let me ask you that. Are you controversial?
The word I would use rather is there are 3 types of people you need to start getting yourself around. Person number 1 are those who think inside the box, who basically are conformed and confined to the parameters of the box itself. Group number 2 are those who think outside of the box, but they still use the box as the reference of their thinking. Group number 3, which is my group, ban the damn box and think. I don't need to reference it to anything, just ban the thing. Now there's no box, let's think. So controversial for me would mean that I'm like fighting against an ideology. I'm not fighting against any ideology. I'm reasoning and questioning the ideologies based on my experience. So if that is controversy, then life is conflict, because that is the law of motion. For every movement in any direction, there's an equal opposite force. So the fact that I'm moving means that I'm controversial, but I call that movement.
Nice. No, I hear you. So, for those who don't know out there, Joshua Maponga III is also a pastor's kid. Now, if we start talking about your journey, okay, our journeys as pastor's kid, we don't have enough time. This show does not have enough time.
It may never end. The show may never end.
But as a pastor's kid, right? Your upbringing, how did it channel you to be the being that you are now?
Speaking about the good things first, the publicity, the limelight, the recitation of Bible verses, the attending of pathfinders, marching camps, the leadership roles that you are given at an early age, with the responsibilities that come with it, and the privilege of studying in church schools and exposure to various ministers internationally and otherwise. I mean, the growth pattern itself in terms of my background becomes almost an A-class student, which of course the earlier parts were a bit hectic due to the war that Zimbabwe went through, and my path was like messed up from around 72, 74 to around 80, 81 when the war stopped in Zimbabwe. So I had quite a bumpy early primary school life, but by the time I was in high school, I managed to get myself to a church school, Church Mission Solusi, which was an Andrews University satellite campus, and with top-class lecturers around the world, both for literal critique and theology and arts and historical space. And basically, I lived in America while I was in Africa, and I graduated ultimately at Andrews University. Our degrees were literally given from Michigan and stuff like that. So, and lecturers were switching over. So I should say I was privileged enough to walk into an open university where debates were robust and cultural interactions were international. The campus had students from Egypt, from Congo, from Tanzania, from Rwanda, from Namibia. The whole African met at Solusi. And for you as a young boy at the age of 11, to find yourself literally in an international community of that nature, from primary school right through into my high school, into my college and my university years, it placed me at a global pothole where I had an opportunity of mixing in this pot with the globe itself. And I think at a great extent, it shaped my worldview. I started learning Tswana and Sotho, Nyanja and Amharic, and even at one time I had a girlfriend from Ethiopia. So and you would find that your appetite for a global conversation becomes activated at an early age. And I should say, on a positive side, that could have been a great advantage of being pushed into the mainstream of the global conversation early. But from a more local side, in terms of the church story, the church is quite abusive. We know that. And very, very reckless. You're not allowed to grow as a pastor's child. You are literally forced into adulthood. I remember those my father's ties being put on me at an early age, long jackets that were rolled over because you had to look this missionary look then you are being put on a table to preach and send verses. People will go to steal mangoes and they say, I went to steal mangoes. But I was not alone. I was with other guys. They're not allowed to grow and often would sleep on the floors when visitors come home. They eat our milk and all those. So to say the least, the church is insensitive. When members are stuck in town, they always at the pastor's house. The pastor's house became a station, and my father would be taking his money, giving people who had no transport and what. The rest of it, yeah, I went through all that. So there's very little you can tell me about being a pastor's kid that I didn't go through it. You are the last one on the list, but you're supposed to be the first one in terms of service.
Now, funny story. When we were growing up, and this is what annoys me. When we were growing up, I remember that we lived in a caravan for 7 years. So from 1984 to 1991. I mean, this thing was rotten, as in like it had holes. So we had to put amaplank lapo and blankets on top, and then just to make sure the rats don't come in. But they did come in, you understand? Now, that was on the personal side. On the pulpit side, my dad was a superstar. You understand? People spoke highly of this guy, like, yeah, he's highly used by God, you know. Luckily for him, he was not in this miracle movement, but he was preaching, you know, salvation, and people got saved. You know, he used to fill stadiums, and that didn't compute in my head. Would you get a musician who fills up a stadium, but they're able to feed their families and they live in houses? Yet my father serves this God, and they fill up stadiums for the whole week. They fill up stadium and Ganigelo every week, every day, by the way. So, you know, that to me didn't compute. Who was
taking the money from the stadium? Who was taking the money?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe,
that is the real question. That's the real question, because your father was working and someone was sitting at the back collecting the offering. So he was being used, basically. The church uses people. I mean, that's a fact.
Yeah. And you know what? At this day and age now, he would admit that as well. That you know, some of the things that were done in the past, you know, they're not necessarily of God. They're not necessarily conducive to the nucleus of the family. You understand? But anyway, so after the break, right, I'm going to ask you about African spirituality and Christian colonialism. That will be an interesting, because I need to pick your brain on the two subjects. So yeah, after the break, we'll continue our chat with Babu Joshua Muponga III. So see you in a tick.
I see a child without a home of his own, or a woman struggling to feed her family alone, or an innocent man found guilty with nowhere to go. Who's to blame? Who's responsible for making sure the farmer gets his rain? One's a victim fighting for each day of his life in vain. Can a man be guilty when his motives are insane? Who's to blame? What can we do? I only wish that I could say, I wish that everything bad would up and go away. How can we help? I wish that I knew how. I wish the love would rain down on me now. Under pressure, that's what we need to survive. Just to stay alive, just to stay alive. Under pressure, just a little grace when the going gets tough. That's enough. tells you your father didn't care, but she never gave you reasons why he was never there. That a wife and a child would not conduce him to his plans. Ask who's to blame? Oh no, no. What can we do? I only wish I knew. I wish that everything that's bad would up and go and leave. How can we help? I only wish I could say, I wish that everything that's bad would up and fly, fly, all I need is a little pressure, all I need is a little grace, grace under pressure. When the going gets rough, that's enough. I'm gonna look to the sky under pressure. Lift my head up high under pressure. Rise, my Lord, rise. Under pressure. Lift your head up to the sky. Yes. Grace under pressure.
The Africa Center for Work-Based Learning is a professional development center for professionals who aim to improve their professional standing. This means that the learning programs we run are more than just academic programs. They are work-based programs that focus on leveraging your current experience as a professional to build your overall profile. A year down the line, the Africa Center for Work-Based Learning is developing into a preferred center for professional development in Pretoria, with 8 professional development faculties including accounting, teaching, entrepreneurship, as well as IT and many more. For more information, go to acwbl.org or dial +27 12 751 7608. The Africa Center for Work-Based Learning, where work is learning.
Waking up all day with Vuga Online Radio.
Welcome back. We've paid our bills and we continue our chat. Nobaba U Joshua Maponga III. Now, okay, let me ask you a question. Am I still allowed to call you Mfundisi, or I can't say that anymore?
Look, I am that. I have not lost a bit of that. It is just in spaces where I operate. When you say it and you know exactly what you are saying, and right now we're having a conversation within the pastoral space, I would allow you to do that. But when I move to some of my spaces where some of the content begins to push the boundaries of that, I would say let's put it aside. It's like a soccer star when he gets home and he's talking to his children. They don't call him a soccer star; they call him dad. So, and you cannot force a soccer player to be called a soccer player in his own house. So for me, I'm not confused about those roles. I can put one role at the door and move over. As a father, cannot be a husband to his children, but you become a father to his children. And my daughter the other day says to me, "Hey, Dad, you're my friend." I said, "Point of correction. I'm not your friend. You have friends. I am your father. You cannot bring your friendship issues to me. I cannot deal with you as a friend. I can deal with you as a child."
Okay. So as I'm allowed to call you police. So now there's a seismic shift in the national dialogue, and I know abafundisi, they're avoiding this. You know, they're saying Satan ungenile emasontweni, Satan ungenile emantwaneni. But there's an awakening. The awakening of the African child, the awakening of the African diaspora, the awakening of the African, love for everything African. So a lot of young people are embracing African spirituality. Now, there seems to be a debate going on. What is this African spirituality? Man kuluma African spirituality, nkuluma ngobungoma or nkuluma about a higher form of worship, of religion, of spiritual engagement. What is your understanding, or what is your definition of the African spirituality?
On an onset, religion is schizophrenic. It teaches you to dress up for church. Now become a worshiper. And for those minutes, you walk onto the stage, locked up into that. But it's not a life that you can take away from stage. When you get home, put away your worshiper's thing, and you become a human being, which I find terribly, terribly wrong. Whereas African lifestyle, to avoid the word spirituality for now until I define it, African lifestyle, when I drink water, I must put a little bit on the ground first, then drink. When I am plowing my seeds, I throw some into the furrow, some to the road for the birds. Before I pluck a herb from the bush, I take my hair and put it in the ground and take the other plant and plant it, then harvest the herb that I want to harvest. When the rain comes, I go outside, I do a ritual. Before I get married, I do a ritual. After I finish peeing, I spit. So it's not schizophrenic. It's a continuous before you kill a cow, you tell it we're killing him for food. This is not a ritual. When anything is happening, when someone dies, so you look at the entire expression of the African life. It is not divided between now we are worshiping, now we are normal, now we are closer to God. It looks like the interwovenness of spirituality and divinity is actually intertwined with life itself, so that celebrations and rituals can only be extended forms of that expression. But on a day-to-day basis, even our greetings, Sawubona, Dumelang, Dumelara, you hear in those words a plural expression of, in as much as I'm looking at you as an individual, but I recognize the plurality in you. You're not alone. I recognize your forefathers, your grandfathers, to an extent how Ubaba, Sawubona Baba, it's the plural in him that plurals us to become what we are. So African spirituality, as it were, if I could define it, becomes a constant awareness, which the modern words they use, consciousness of the abundant availability and presence of the divine within the person that you are talking to and the activities that you're participating on. When you're going to Johannesburg to look for work, Ugogo comes to you, takes a bit of snuff and sprinkles it on you. So it's not divine. When you buy a new car, you take it to Gogo, they go and pour some liquor on it. So for me, that becomes very critical. Christianity seems to be locked up in jackets and in ties, that you can only do this here. You can't do this there. So people become Christians on a Sabbath and on a Sunday. And on Monday, when they take off their jackets, they become normal. They become human beings. And for that reason, you find that what you call religion is institutionalized, whereas African spirituality is lifestyle. For a start, I can start there.
Fantastic. Yeah, I hope people are watching this because one of the things that hit me in my journey, not only as a PK but as a father and a social commentator, is that I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I don't have the foggiest clue of what I'm doing. All my life, I was raised as a Christian, right? And when you grow up, you start asking questions. I'm an intelligent being. So you start asking questions, why do we do this? Or why does this happen? But this is not African, whatnot. And I was told, shut up. Shut up. It's like you're backsliding, you understand? Because you are asking questions that are uncomfortable, you understand? Like one of the questions I keep asking is, is the narrative in the church was that ugogo wami owashona is demonic. I'm like, where does that come from? Where does that come from? You understand? How do we even speak of our identity if we can't acknowledge people that have gone on this journey of life? We can't acknowledge them because. And another thing, my mfundiswa, the heaven factor, this heaven. Oh, Gosham. Christianity has taught people that the end game is heaven. Like, forget who you are, forget that you're Zulu.
I want you to park the heaven one because I want to deal with that separately. I want to deal with the gogo part first. Whereas religion is a problem with your grandmother, the African does not have a problem with your grandmother. They will tell you exactly who she is and what is her role in your life, in your mother, in your father lying in her womb, and how that has become part of you, and etc. And if your grandmother is a demon, then what are you? If your grandparents are demons, then it only means that we are also demons waiting to become demons. But I want to define African spirituality, my own definition. It is a constant interaction between the Trinity. And I'm using Trinity in the context that some of your viewers will understand. I know when they talk Trinity, they talk of a masculine Trinity. The Father is a man, Jesus is a man, the Holy Spirit is a man. So three men create people, which I find totally not biological and not sensible at all. I would have been happy if people would understand the universe in its masculinity and femininity, that a man and woman makes a child, and the whole nature is male and female, from creation to animals to plants to fish to butterflies. They don't have a problem with sex, as it were, between male and female. But Christianity has a problem of putting a woman within the context of God. They want to keep it purely as masculine. But to cut the long story short, then it is the concept of the mother, the father, and the child, making that Trinity. As such, you find that African spirituality helps the individual. How do you interact with water? How do you interact with the soil? And how do you interact with the air? That's the Trinity of life, here where we are. The air, the water, and the soil. Now, here's the mystery. Water, which is feminine, is the medium which is able to translate the spiritual to physical. I'll make it simpler. You went into your mother's womb as a spirit and as water, but your mother was able to convert the sperm in her waters and make bone and marrow, and here you are. So women become the water through which that which is divine and spiritual can actually pass through the medium of women and become physical. So African spirituality understands that the medium through which we all have come into this life, the gate through which we all have come into this life, from one realm of life to another realm, is the woman. Therefore, water becomes important. Hence, in all African spirituality, including Christianity, when they baptize you, by the way, they are also taking a bit of that, putting you back into the womb so that you come up as a new creation, according to the book of Romans chapter 8. You know, the old things have passed away in Romans chapter 6, and the old things have passed away, the new things have come. I'm a new creature now. In John chapter 3, how do you get born again? Do I go back in my mother's womb? And etc. You can hear